If you're struggling with secondary infertility, then today's video is for you. Hi everyone, I'm Marl Salerno, Functional Diagnostic Nutrition Practitioner of ReclaimOptimalHealth.com, where I help couples just like you resolve their infertility and get back to creating those beautiful families you so deeply desire. Okay, it would mean the world to me if you would please click on that subscribe link down below so that you get notifications every week when I post fertility boosting videos. And I invite you to join me on Instagram. I'm there pretty much every day of the week, posting awesome functional fertility content just for you. And it's a great place to chat with me. So if you have any questions or you just want to reach out and share your experience, you're looking for some support, I'm there for you. It's a great way to chat with me live. So you can do that at Marl Salerno. That's MARALSALERNO. And I look forward to seeing you there. Okay, so what is secondary infertility? Secondary infertility is basically when you've had a successful pregnancy and now you're having trouble conceiving. And secondary infertility really leaves couples kind of in the dark when it comes to the infertility conversation. And they really feel siloed and silenced. And the reason is because they already have a child. And everyone's saying, well, you already have a child. Like, what's the big deal? Why are you feeling this way? So if you're experiencing secondary infertility, I really wanted to create this video to give you support and some ideas into investigating why your secondary infertility is occurring now when you didn't have problems before. Now, the reason that secondary infertility is also, so emotionally wrenching and traumatic for couples, even after they've had a few children, is because all of us have pictured our lives at some point or another and the way it was going to look. And if we're experiencing secondary infertility and we were picturing multiple children in that picture, then it kind of presents a roadblock. And then there's a gap in the family unit you thought you would once have. So my heart goes out to you. And what we're finding is that over 10% of couples worldwide are experiencing secondary infertility. But I will say that those numbers are not hard and true because they are mixing the numbers between primary infertility and secondary infertility when you actually look deep down in the research. But I will say that I am seeing a rise in my own practice of secondary infertility couples coming to me. So I would say that that number is at least 10%, if not more, honestly. And I can see this number rising as time goes on, unfortunately. Now we're going to go through what the factors and contributors are to secondary infertility. And I want you to have the lens of a functional perspective or a functional approach, which means that all of the contributors I'm going to list through in a moment and go through that I think are missed from a conventional perspective are all under the umbrella of stressors. So I don't diagnose or treat, but I look for all the possible stressors. And stressors come in three forms. One is mental, emotional, spiritual. The second is biomechanical, like chronic aches and pains. And then the third one is biochemical. So biochemical could be like food sensitivities or leaky gut or imbalanced hormones or a brain that's not signaling your hormones properly or your thyroid, or it could be mineral imbalances, or it could be pathogenic infections like worms or parasites or candida or imbalanced bacteria in the gut. All of these are considered stressors. They're just in different categories. So I'm going to go ahead and start going through some of the major contributors that I notice are overlooked in secondary infertility from a functional approach. So number one is hypothyroidism. So hypothyroidism is a low functioning thyroid, and commonly hypothyroidism is unidentified in a woman prior to her conceiving her first child, and now it's even worse and she doesn't know why she's feeling the way she's feeling, or the hypothyroidism developed in the 4th trimester, which is postpartum, okay? And the reason is because when a woman is going from pregnancy to postpartum, there's a transition that occurs there. And the body is trying to rebalance estrogen and progesterone levels in particular from pregnancy you to postpartum you. And that transition can be a little bit rocky. I'm sure for those of you who have experienced secondary infertility that are watching this video, you can remember postpartum feeling a little wacky, feeling emotional, hair falling out, all these different things. Well, it's because of the body going through this transition. Now, what I find nowadays is that most women postpartum aren't taking at least 3 months to rest their bodies, right? Because not only is the baby not sleeping, and probably you're nursing your baby, and if you're not, that's fine too, you still have to wake up to feed your baby. But when this happens, right, that's already a stressor. But then if you add to that work and chores and other children and no help and cooking and cleaning and all these things right after you've had a baby and you're not getting enough rest, then what happens in 70% plus of postpartum women is they drop into hypothyroidism. Now, the thyroid is a master regulator of the body. So when your body is really, really stressed out, the thyroid starts to work on overtime. So you can see how a woman postpartum, if she's taxed and her body is on overdrive to just, make ends meet basically every day with all the things that she has to do, plus a newborn, you can see how the thyroid gets really tired. So some of the symptoms that you might experience with hypothyroidism is heavy menstrual bleeding or ovulation that's off, weight gain or weight loss, mood swings, you're really cold. There's a whole slew of symptoms that can go on with this. And you can see that those symptoms are also commonly associated with estrogen and progesterone imbalances. So this is a big reason why hypothyroidism, or the thyroid in general, gets missed, because people aren't looking upstream enough. And that is why a functional approach is awesome. Now, the thyroid is also having an effect on your estrogen levels directly. Whether it's making your estrogen levels more imbalanced or higher or lower, the thyroid can do that to estrogen levels. So you can see why in secondary infertility, I find this is a very overlooked piece. Okay, number 2 is leaky gut. So leaky gut actually contributes to hypothyroidism, believe it or not. And what is leaky gut? It's when your small intestine literally has holes in it. And in a very generalized way of saying, basically when your food comes through, if it's not chewed up well enough, if it's not being absorbed properly, like broken down enough, then you'll have these big chunks of food falling through. And when that happens, it'll trigger your immune system. And as a result, you're gonna have all sorts of symptoms that could appear, not just gut issues. The other thing that can happen with leaky gut is you're more vulnerable and susceptible to pathogenic infections like parasites and worms and candida and the like. Now, it's really unfortunate, but leaky gut as well happens as a result of pregnancy, because pregnancy is stressful on the body. Number 3 is mineral imbalance. So if you have a leaky gut, whether you're eating super junky food or you're eating this beautiful organic food, you won't actually be able to render the nutrients from this food because your gut is leaky. So you'll land with being malnourished or having mineral imbalances in your body. And your cells and your body need to be nourished properly in order to function properly. And if your body's functioning properly, then you are fertile, right? All right, number 4 is age. And I actually have a video on this that I'll link down below in the description box, but it's titled Wondering If You're Too Old to Get Pregnant. So age is a consideration, but it's not everything. It's really about your overall health and your overall hormonal health that really matter. So it's really about how you take care of yourself, what you're putting in your mouth, and your lifestyle that are gonna really affect your fertility. Now, number 5 is surgery or any kind of complications with a previous pregnancy. So an example of that would be something like a C-section, right? So with C-sections, there's going to be scar tissue that's left over. And not in all cases, but sometimes what can happen is a scar tissue builds up around the fallopian tubes. And the fallopian tubes are where the sperm goes to meet the egg for fertilization. So you can see how reducing inflammation and working on that scar tissue is going to be really vital to conception and having your next baby. Okay, number 6 is male factor infertility. So this is one that I think is always overlooked and missed, but really it's 50% male and 50% female that is contributing to infertility. So just like with women not taking great care of themselves when they become a parent, this usually happens with men as well, right? And men tend to be notorious for not taking as great care of themselves in general in comparison to women. And I see this in my practice, but I also see this in my life. So with this, men will tend to pick up junk food at the gas station, eat stuff out at restaurants all the time. They're drinking beer and alcohol and all kinds of drinks. On top of the fact that they're not really aware of any of the types of products they're putting on their bodies. They may not be getting much sleep. They're hooked to a screen a lot. They're working long hours. They're not getting any exercise. So all of these are going to really hamper the quality of sperm. So it's going to hamper sperm production and concentration, but it's also going to hamper a man's sperm motility, which is the direction in which the sperm is traveling. A sperm needs to innately know how to get to that egg. And if a man has not been taking care of himself, his sperm is going to be lost. And then morphology. Morphology is the shape of the head of the sperm. So it'll be deformed when a man has not been taking great care of himself. Not always, but this is something that can show up with infertility, particularly secondary infertility. Now, when a man goes to a fertility clinic, commonly a fertility doctor will look to see that the man is at least in the 50th percentile. With his sperm quality. And if he is, the fertility doctor's like, okay, great, your sperm is normal, everything's fine. I actually look to get men in super sperm quality, which is getting them into the 90th percentile, because I really want to see fertility success. And we can easily do that with holistic and drugless methods and behaviors that you can implement, particularly what you put on yourself and what you put in your mouth. So how do we resolve secondary infertility? I highly recommend a functional approach. That's what I do. That's what I'm all about, is helping couples utilize a functional approach so that you can have your baby naturally. And if not, you can have a successful IVF. So if you're ready to have your baby, then please click on the link down below to schedule a qualifying call. And I hope this video was helpful for you all, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.